Techtown probably was the best thing I've done so far.
Yeah.
So far, I graduated from the First Step program in 2012, and I picked that program specifically because I had the idea to do a Shakespeare company, but I wanted it to be a for-profit theater company for one very important reason. I find a lot of times, a lot of theaters, the first thing they want to do is make themselves a nonprofit organization. And I didn't, for me, which is fine, but for me, I didn't think that was exactly the answer, because a lot of, especially smaller theaters, although they're nonprofit, they still struggle. And for me, I found it would be easier to get customers and try to retain them, as opposed to always trying to find a grant. Having some feedback from people who know what they're doing was something that was invaluable. And so I completed the First Step program, and I was so proud of that, because we started out with 50 people and about 10 of us graduated.
Oh, wow.
So it was wonderful, because that kind of gave me some validity that Shakespeare in Detroit was a good idea, and I also had the support system around me, and they're still very supportive of Techtown. Once you're a student of Techtown, you're always a part of the family. We want to do 3 shows, beginning with the show at Recycle here, Antony and Cleopatra. And then we also want to do A Midsummer Night's Dream. We're hoping to be invited back to Grand Circus Park in the summer, in July. And then lastly, The Tempest at Belle Isle. And we're currently in talks with the Belle Isle Conservancy to do The Tempest there. In order for us to have a full season, we have to have $20,000. There's no if, and, or buts about it. And a lot of people were asking me why we chose Kickstarter, and that's because it's all or nothing. We either make the $20K or we don't get anything. And there's kind of no compromising with our budget, because it just takes $20,000 to pull off 3 shows. For costumes, for us to get the carpenters for our set, and then because we're a professional theater company, I have to pay the director, because I'm the artistic director, so I have the vision, but I have to employ a director and then also actors. And we're hoping to employ between 60, maybe 70, but 60 for sure, artists and actors in 2014. So giving them some work and giving them some incentive to stay, because a lot of artists leave. They go to New York, they go to LA, they go to Chicago, and I don't have the ability to employ them all year round, but at least for 3 shows, and especially during the summer, I'm hoping to give them some work, because the artists are the soul of a city. They are not a bonus. A lot of times people think artists are bonuses to a city, but people don't go to New York for the financial district or because they have cool technology. Not taking away from those things, but they go for the experience and the art. And if we want people to live and visit here, we have to keep our artists. And I'm hoping to play a little bit of a part in keeping them here. Because I think a lot of times people think education is exclusive to a classroom, and it's not. One of the coolest things about Othello at Grand Circus Park was that there were so many different people there. A lot of diversity was in our audience that I don't see when I go to other theaters, because we had black people, white people, young people, old people, and people from the city and the suburbs. But specifically the young people who are out of school during the summer, it's a great opportunity to give them a unique educational experience. Because Shakespeare, for me, is not just, at this point, it's not just something that I'm doing as a business. Shakespeare in Detroit is a business that was born in Techtown, but it's a lifestyle, and for me right now, and always probably will be, I'm sure, because I've always loved Shakespeare. But even with Shakespeare Against Cancer, which is an outreach program that I started, it's kind of under the umbrella of Shakespeare in Detroit, but it's done completely for free. And I facilitate actors to go into hospitals and perform vignettes for kids during their chemotherapy. So Shakespeare is also a medicinal benefit, because the arts are healing. I call it medicine for the heart. So there's so many benefits to Shakespeare, and I hope people can see the value of it, because honestly, it is for them. When somebody asked me yesterday, it might have been a cousin or something, why are you doing this? I get no sort of financial rewards for doing Shakespeare in Detroit. If anything, as far as the financial part, it's vice versa. The benefit for me is being able to, as they say, use what you've got and I know Shakespeare a little bit. Use what you've got to give back. And the people who come to see our shows and the actors who are employed at our shows, it's really for them. And for me, it just makes me feel good to be able to do something for the city that raised me.